Hi everyone, my name is Katia. I'm a Russian language teacher and the founder of an online language school. Today I'm joined by my friend Jerry, who I originally met at the Meetup in San Francisco. Jerry speaks 7 languages, and in this interview, we'll have a casual conversation about how he maintains them and what motivates him to study these languages. Let's begin.
Hey,
Привет!
over utro. And that's your house. What a cute house. Oh,
No,
very, very
that's
nice.
not real, Jerry. That's
It's
not
not
real.
real? What is it? A vision?
Uh,
Sergey?
yeah, that's just the background. It's
Sergey would. He would.
Так, okay. Well, let's introduce. How do we know each other? We met in 2019.
yes, maybe 2019. At the end of 2019, I started taking classes from you with the Meetup,
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
Meetup group in San Francisco. And I would go there and I found it was a whole building, all with small classes inside,
Yeah,
offices.
back then we had WeWork. WeWork was
Yeah,
associated with Meetup, and they allowed free spaces for like different
yeah.
gatherings. So,
Oh, it was
uh,
great,
yeah.
and I like the environment. Everyone
hmm
had a different experience, a different reason to learn Russian. Some had been to Russia, and most of us were curious or wanted to go to Russia. So,
hmm
and the world was more peaceful then than it is
hmm
now. And that's how we met. And then
Yeah.
you lived nearby, and I met with you sometimes. We met about once or twice a week for a while
hmm
until you moved away, and then we went to Zoom.
Right. So I mean, you were learning Russian. I was teaching Russian, but you know several languages. How many languages do you know?
Well, in university, I studied Japanese, Chinese, and Mandarin Chinese, so and Japanese and French. So three languages in university,
hmm
and I have English.
hmm
And then, so in my university, I was studying Japanese very seriously because when I worked for the national parks, I could hear visitors speaking, and I like the sound of the Japanese, and I like the sound of the Chinese. I asked my teacher if I could would it hurt my Japanese if I took Chinese calligraphy? And he said, "Oh no, it'll help
hmm
you write. You will write better when you're writing." So I took the class, and the professor was this wonderful person who also taught classes in Mandarin. So I took his classes, and he was the kind of teacher at the university where people who really loved learning the language, he let them come and eat lunch with him. So every day, 5 days a week, we ate lunch with Professor Chi. And then once a month, his wife cooked dinner for everybody. So we went to
Nice.
his class. So it was a very good way of learning about China, Chinese language, and he was very meticulous. He liked to draw a picture on the blackboard with chalk of your head and your mouth from the side, showing where your tongue is and where your teeth are, and then talk about the word. How does this sound? How do you make the perfect sound?
Uh-huh.
And
What
also, I look, yeah,
was it difficult to produce the sound because Chinese has very different sounds?
yeah. We have two kinds of memory. Short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory, you could say something unusual in Russian to me right now, and I could maybe repeat it once or twice, but tomorrow I don't know. But so he said, remember where to put your tongue, maybe behind your teeth, maybe on the in the back of your mouth, and then what is your nose doing, and what is everything doing? And he told us one trick he had was with difficult sounds that are more colloquial, like the word important. He said he used to sit on the bus going home from school, and he would go important, and try to get that accent, the sound, important. And where did he put his tongue, and how did he make the sound? Because Chinese sounds very strange. Um, I'll say, 我要卖这个书. I want to buy that book. And it's So another thing that's very important for me is I have to understand the syntax. In that sentence, 我要买这个本书. I want to buy that red book. So there are four tones in Chinese. Three. One is 我 down up, 买 falling, 买 down up. 这个 that's kind of no tone. 本书 those are monotone. So we hear three tones there. There's also, you can say 买, you can do an up tone. So that's all the tones. And those are pretty simple. If you learn Cantonese, there's, I don't know, 9 tones. Crazy. And how can you make a different one than that already? But so I didn't study Cantonese. I studied Mandarin, which was the simple one. And Chinese has the same syntax as English. Another reason why learning Russian was difficult for me. The Chinese syntax was, I want to buy that red book. That's the English syntax. Subject, verb, object. And the tense is in the verb. I wanted, so the tense is in the verb. I wanted for past tense to buy that red book. And that made it more simple for me. Japanese took me about 3 years. I could speak Chinese the first day. It's so simple. The words are only 3 letters long, right? 3 letters. How hard is that? And you put them in the same order as English, and you just have to learn the tones. But people know you don't want to buy a horse. You want to buy something in the shop, so they know the difference between 2 words that sound the same. Because they know you don't want to buy a horse. They know you want to buy a book. So so that part is easy. So you just have to spit it out, and people talk to you.
So you didn't focus on getting the tones right. I mean, you did your best, but if you don't get them
those
right,
later.
people will still understand.
They still understand. And then as for Japanese took me 3 years. I still have not crossed this hurdle, I call it, in Russian, because I had trouble with the cases. But in Japanese, people think with the clauses turned around. So you would say, money I didn't have because the movie I didn't go. See, it's kind of backwards, right? Okane ga nakata kara, money I didn't have, kara, which means because. Eiga o ikimasen deshita. Eiga movie, ikimasen deshita didn't go. So, but it took about 3 years to get that in my head, and now it's there. I don't know how it got there, but it's there. So that's it. And Russian is difficult for me because I'm still in the middle of the cases.
But the word order can be, you can say it in many ways. So, я хочу купить книгу. I want to buy a book. Книгу хочу купить я. Book want to buy I. So it doesn't matter. In Russian, you can put I at the end or in the middle. You can mix it up.
Yeah.
But you need to get the ending right so that people understand that you want to buy a book and not vice versa. That's right.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I can understand you speaking this simple sentence. I'm not practicing right now because I'm learning Italian. So I, like people who learn English quickly, it's because they watch television and movies. I see all over the world. They watch English television, English movies, and it makes it easier because you want to understand what the character is saying. So I'm watching Italian movies at night, and then in my car, when I start the car, I plug in my phone, and I have Pimsleur lessons speaking Italian.
Pimsleur.
Yeah, Pimsleur, lesson 48. So,
do you use Pimsleur for all of your languages?
I've tried everything. I tried Babbel. Duolingo is too simple. It does not work fast enough. My brain wants to go faster. So, and Babbel wasn't very good. I tried it. I tried something else, and then Finally, Pimsleur, I like how they speak and how it grows with you. So they progress at a nice pace, and I can keep track. And even though the verbs are different, I learned the verbs the first lesson. Learn these verbs right away. Have the important verbs are to have and to go, because you can cheat with go. I'm going to buy. You only have to remember the what to call that form, but to buy, the simplest form of the word to buy. I'm going to buy. That gives you a good future tense, and you can use that for everything. I'm going to dance. I'm going to drive, and then you don't have to worry about the conjugations of the verb. So those are fairly simple. So I try to keep the what do they call those? I can't think of the word, but the word for the formal verb. What is that?
A formal verb.
Verb like to use, to buy, compete.
Oh, infinitive?
Infinitive
form?
of the verb. So the infinitive and to go, so, but ja, had je compete, what, yeah, wie kniegen.
Да. Yeah, я хочу купить. That's a good that's a good trick that you learn. The most important, я хочу, I want, and you can use it
Yeah.
with
Then you stick everything in it. To dance, dansevat, all these things you stick in.
Dansevat. Got it. How about how do you keep up with all of the languages? Would it always would you lose some of the knowledge when you're not actively practicing? So like you
Yes.
know Chinese and Japanese well, but then you learn Italian and you focus on Italian. What happens with the other languages?
If I don't use them, they go away. The Chinese would be the hardest, and I try to find someone who will speak to me. So I don't eat donuts, but there's a shop nearby where the woman is from Laos, but her parents were in the Chinese army and they spoke Mandarin at home. And so she speaks Chinese with a Mandarin, very clean accent, and she works at the donut shop nearby. So sometimes just to practice Chinese, I go and say, Ni hao ah, how are you? And she'll say something, you never come so much anymore. And what do you want to buy? And she'll talk to me in Mandarin. So she's happy to do it. She likes to speak Mandarin. So, and I don't speak any Lao. So I used to go to a Japanese restaurant, sushi show, and the owner, he knew I spoke Japanese pretty well. So he would put me with people or tell me to come and sit at the counter. You sit over here. And I would say something. He said, this man has a Japanese restaurant in Oakland. I want you to sit with him. And he just tells the man, talk to him. He speaks Japanese. Talk to him. And pretty soon I'm speaking. So I like to find situations where I can speak it. I spoke Italian to him. I spoke Italian this morning to a man who works for Albany schools. And he said, come vai? How are you? And I said, non c'è male, not bad. So it makes me speak. And he tells me, you should see a movie. There's a good one for language. And he'll tell me a movie. So, and he, like you, he immigrated, except you had formal English, I think, but he just learned in the street. He came to America,
got a job. Have formal English.
No. So exactly. You just learn by listening, and you repeat what people say. And sometimes you don't understand everything, but you hear. And so anyway, so I try to use it. So watching films helps, and listening in my car. And force
finding
myself.
Someone, like you said, finding someone in your circle with whom you can always practice. Okay, follow-up question. What if, so when people learn a new language, they are at the beginning slow. Have you had a situation where you wanted to practice the language, but they switched to English? What do you do?
If I want them to speak Spanish or something, well, I've learned that there are certain key words that make people think immediately in, let's say, Spanish. So if I see someone, I think they're a Spanish speaker. If I say Buenos dias, well, then they answer in English. But if I say hola, they go, hola. Yeah, what do you want? ¿Qué tú quieres? What do you want? And so they will. So there are little certain words that are better than others to begin the conversation and turns people's minds on to what you want. So when I see that lady at the donut shop, I say something like "Ni hao, ni hao, ni hao." How are you? How are you? And she is right on. All I get is Chinese. So
Mm-hmm.
she's wonderful. And the same for every morning. I have my espresso. I go to places where I know I can practice. So I go for my espresso early at 6:30 in the morning. And Guillermo Sanchez from Jalisco wants to talk about Trump and the world and everything, and immigrants and problems. So he speaks to me in Spanish. If I don't know
Mm-hmm.
the word, he gets it on his phone. He talks to his phone, and Siri
Mm-hmm.
speaks Spanish, and he shows me the word. So
Mm-hmm.
that we know that language is important. He and I. So
But he doesn't switch
French,
to English. Mm-hmm.
no, only if I don't understand or I don't reply right. And if I speak too long in English, he'll change to English.
Mm-hmm.
Also, reading is important. Probably that helped me the most with Russian. But I read in French. I like the newspaper, Le Monde, and it's pretty easy to go through the newspaper in French. In Spanish, I'm slower with the newspaper, colloquial things. You remember we went to Catalonia, and the newspaper
Mm-hmm.
is not in Spanish; it's in Catalan.
It's on Catalan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so different.
How well you get like current newspapers every day or
No, once a month, French
once a
newspaper.
month?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Spanish when I find one. What else? I keep them. And then I have. You can see behind me. You can see. Uh, there. Can you?
Polish? Is
Barely.
that Polish? It is Polish.
Yeah. So there's a few books here. I can't do it very well. Oh, the
Spanish.
camera kind of funny and Russian. And so there's everything here. Americas, Moscow, Pushkin. So
Pushkin.
lots of
Wow.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So everything there. That's my Russian library. There's some Japanese there, some Polish. Dzika Polska. So there's some Polish.
Mm.
So I have to be
Your
polite with Alicia.
right.
And
Your
in
your wife is Polish. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Or
so
right.
in the mornings, she writes me. So telephones are important too. Texting all
Mm-hmm.
the time. So Alicia writes in English, but I start my conversation with Dzień dobry, and I write
Dzień
it.
dobry. Same in Russian you can say. More common
So
to say добрый день. But
so now you can see. It's funny
yeah,
these telephones.
I can see.
Anyway, that's Ukrainian, and the man.
Ah,
So I have a project. This is and here's another young woman. She's my friend from. I can show you those on if I share my desktop. But so I have. So when the war started in Ukraine, I learned Russian because I thought they spoke in Ukraine too. And all Soviet Union countries required everyone to have 8 years of Russian in school. So if you go to Azerbaijan, or Kyrgyzstan, Poland,
Kazakhstan. Mm-hmm.
people can speak in Russian to you because they had 8 years in school. Alicia had 8 years in school. So all these people, and that's helpful. Although now, because of the war, Ukrainians don't want to have Russian, but that doesn't mean they forget. Everyone could help me if I got stuck, and couldn't say something in Ukrainian or in English that worked.
Right.
So I after when the war started, I had just come from Russia, right? I was in St. Petersburg at the Kunstkamera, And
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, you helped me. I was on television. I was scared though. My heart was like boop, 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 boop. And the director of the museum said, Jerry, you are on television across the country. Uh-oh.
Do you have
But,
a video recording of that?
oh, probably. I didn't
That
ask
would be
for it.
cool.
But the director
Oh,
is a friend. She had me, she told me about Ukraine without saying Ukraine. She said, my brother lives in this town. And I looked on the map, and that town was in Ukraine. So that just told me she knows everything. So she said the most important book is an English uh, is written in English on all the different native tribes of North, Central, and South America. Could you get one for me and scan it and send it to me? So I did. I had the book scanned, and sent it to her so she could use it for work at the museum.
mm,
But that
mhm.
and her name, of course, is Lubov. So it makes Russian happen all the time. Love, all these nice names. So I love Vera. Must be hope,
The
right?
Vera Hope. That. Let's go back to learning languages. So, okay, creative ecosystem. You have friends and neighbors with whom you always practice, and then you said Pimsleur and books, newspaper, and then so now you're actively learning Italian. So how do you incorporate that in your routine?
Um, how do I incorporate it? Well, I have to have a goal, or I can't learn. For Russian, I had the goal. I wanted to speak. I wanted to go there. So for Italian, I have the director of a museum in Bologna. I want to talk to her, and I'm inviting her to dinner. Also, she is talking to me. She is the director of the Palazzo Poggi. It's a museum of natural history. And I asked her, I didn't know her. I wrote a text to her, just I found it in Bologna University names and jobs. I wrote to her, Luciana, and I said, my friend Clara Sarsale is coming from Buenos Aires with us to visit Italy. She
Mm-hmm.
is a museum director. Do you think you could show Clara the back side of the museum, how everything works, because I think you have one of the best exhibits I've seen in a long time on natural history. She wrote back in 5 minutes. She said, of course I'll see Clara, and I'm writing to her now. And Clara wrote to her. So, and then we'll have a dinner. So I wanted to be polite and speak to people. I don't know if they speak English. I don't know. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then I invited a man who'd never spoken English to me so far for 2 years, the director of the hotel in Bologna. He said he thought I was a fraud because he said, I have been working in hotels 27 years and no one ever reserved a room 2 years in advance.
Ah,
And
wow.
you want too many rooms, 17 rooms. I thought you were crazy or a fraud. And then we met and we laughed. And
So did
so,
you speak in Italian, like in your
well,
conversation?
I sent him everything I would use. No, there I used Google translated and sent it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent it back in Italian, but my computer is set up to instantly translate foreign language.
Ah, I see.
So
Mm-hmm.
so it comes to me. It says rate this translation, but it comes immediately in English. Yeah, I can see his too. It's there on the same page. So and then I invited him and his partner to come to dinner when Sophia and I are in Bologna, August 29. We're going to have dinner,
Mm-hmm.
29
So
or 30. Yeah.
so you have a goal. You're going. I am also going to Italy.
Yeah, yeah.
We are going to Italy, and that's gonna be just in a few months in August. So you have 3 months to prepare to speak in
Yep.
Italy in Italian. So
Yeah.
do you use Pimsleur?
Yes. Well, two things. One is um, when we were in Argentina and I was interviewed on television, um, I cheated a little. I prepared in advance, like for Russia. I knew they were going to say, uh, um, "When did you first come to Argentina? Um, how did you create? Why did you create this program, this event? And you're teaching blacksmithing. Why do you do that?" Well, I know they're going to ask that. So I sit down and I remember how to make those sentences about why I did something. Where does that come from in my head? And I think about it. My Spanish is pretty good, but I have to think ahead for unusual words, how to be polite. So I did that. And for Italian, I'm always thinking like it may not happen, but maybe there'll be 100 people, and I have to stand up for just a moment and thank everyone for inviting us, making us welcome. And I have to say something that is also things I like, not Trump, right? The reason we are here is because we want to be share what we know and be part of the country, and that's important in the world today with all these wars. And so I want to say that politely and share it with everyone. And also, I represent our group, which has people from many places. So it will be an interesting collection. And then I think about dinner. How will I say something to be funny and enjoy being with the hotel manager? I want to make him feel welcome and we can have a laugh about Jerry wanting a room 2 years ahead. And then the same for the museum director. I have to think about how do you say, exhibition and exhibit, and how did they protect Ulisse Aldrovandi's collection from 1560? How did they move it? It had to move it about a kilometer across town in Bologna from private museum. They moved it to the university museum. How do you do that? Everything is fragile. You must understand that the exhibit has this Professor Aldrovandi from 1560. He personally, with a pen, wrote all the names of all the animals in the collection, 12,000 animals. He wrote the name as they knew it then in 1560. And Carl Linnaeus, who created the Latin binomial system of naming genus and species, he arrived in 1760, 200 years after Aldrovandi. And Linnaeus said, Aldrovandi is the godfather of all natural history. So he had great respect for him.
So you prepared the speech in Spain, and you're planning to do the same in Italy. So you prepare something in advance, although you.
It's sort of, yes. I think about what would I say if someone said, "Why are you here?" and "How did you come with a big group?" and "What are you doing?" And so I'll do that. And yesterday already, I spoke to Bologna. I forget what they call city tour. Anyway, I told them that we had 32 people, and we wanted to divide into groups of 4 with one walking guide per group. So 8 guides for our first morning, September 1st at 8 o'clock for a 4-hour tour. I was confirming it, and I got a confirmation back. I said, "We're all ready for you." So those things happen every week. That was she wrote in English, so I wrote back in English. But when I write in English, I write very simple sentences, no mistakes, easy to read. In case she wants to Google it, even if she Googles it, it comes out clear. But so I'm already preparing for Italy, and I want to go to Arezzo with a small group that are not blacksmiths. I've been talking to these 3 hotels for 2 years, and we're set. And I have to ask people for money in our group, and then I send the money to Italy. And so for Italy, I'll have to write like, how much do we owe? What's left? What do we need?
And
what
then,
do we need?
Sorry, back to Pimsleur. Do you use Pimsleur to prepare for Italian trip?
Yes, because they have, besides speaking and making you repeat things, mimicking, they have flashcards and quick review and reading, and they have little lessons on my phone. I'm not very good at following those.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some books probably around that I look at, and I'm not very good at that either. So I'm the worst at studying in a book because I have ADHD and I tend to
Mm.
get tired. I'm bored, like
Okay.
on the second page.
So you just
One,
prefer speak and make mistakes and learn from
yeah,
mistakes. Best
that's
is
right.
to person to
Yep,
person.
yeah,
Yep.
person to person. If I need a dictionary, well, I use it. But and you can cheat when you speak language. You can use your hands, like eating
Ah,
and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
dancing, and you can have fun with it. So I do those things. One 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 doctor wrote a book about um, ADHD and how it's hard to read a book. And he said, I'm going to tell all of you everything in the first 30 pages because I know none of you will read more.
That's funny.
So that's it. And I tried to learn, so I wanted to learn just for one special trip to Denmark in 2017. I rode my unicycle across Denmark. So I needed to ride my bike every day for 10 days. And I needed to speak to farmers because out in the country, people don't speak English much. So I found a man was studying physics at University of California here, and his wife was a middle school teacher from Jylland in Western Denmark, and she had nothing to do. I said, well, how about private lessons? So we met every week for 10 months, and I learned to get by with Danish, which is similar to Swedish, and there were lots of movies too, and I could watch. So that helped. And then when I got there, I spoke because when you ride a unicycle, everybody wants to be funny because they look stupid. And then one man, people right away want to say, "You lost a wheel." They want to tell you lost a wheel, and so everyone is friendly. So I want to be friendly too. So I know they're going to say that. I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I left Denmark, it went away.
You forget. Mm.
Yeah, I forget. The Chinese I don't use very often, so I only remember little things. I mean, I know a lot, but I don't remember it. And writing, Japanese, yes, but Chinese I don't remember anything how to write. I had very good lessons in Japanese writing. It takes a special class. It's not like Cyrillic and Roman alphabet that 26 or 34 letters. That's easy. But when you have a character, kanji, uh, character has two parts. The left side is called the radical, and
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
right part of the subject. So you can have a word for water, and you put the radical for spirit next to it.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Then you
Mm-hmm.
get steam,
Steam.
spirit
Mm-hmm.
water, steam. So, and you can also get the ocean out of that, and lots of things, and drinking water, and a lots.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a very good teacher, and we had to learn 70 characters every week.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
at a Buddhist church and in Fresno, and my professor said, well, you should go to the Buddhist church, take the class with the children of Japanese families. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't have anything like that at the university, nothing like that. So I went and they accepted me, so it was good. I So that helped with Japanese a lot, be around
Yeah,
Japanese people.
I studied also Japanese back in school and then in university. I mean, in high school and then in university. And I remember very little. I don't remember.
Yeah, unless you have a way to use it. Like
Mm-hmm.
me going to the Japanese restaurant where the man is a friend. If I go just to a new place, all I can say is hello, I'll buy this, and you're done. It's not Japanese. So it has to be more. Someone has to say there was an interesting I wanted to go. There was an interesting offering in Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
and I was using TripAdvisor to find tour guides at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
many of them, I hired them separately, and later hired them privately. When we went, we were all privately paying the guides, except Kyoto. But there was one tour I wanted to take and I didn't. It was four old men take you out drinking.
Ah.
And you would learn a lot of Japanese with those guys. I said I could do that. Four old men take you drinking. Okay, let's go.
That's funny.
Yeah. So when I went to Japan with you, the first thing I did to practice my Japanese was go to a bar at night and say, I'm lost. And,
Ah.
and they go, oh, the foreigner speaks good Japanese, but he's lost. And pretty soon people, where do you want to go? And they start asking you, and your brain comes awake. So that works for me. That helped. It probably would with Chinese, but I don't have a good way to practice. And Russian, it's happening because I have a lot of favorite programs I watched in Russian television, Russian movies, and some favorite actors. So
where let's say, where do you watch them?
Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yeah. So remember, I work with my hands, so I don't make a lot of money. I'm not a computer tech. I don't have big money. So for me, I can justify I can't have Amazon, Netflix, and PBS, and some Hulu.
You just have
No,
one.
but I get one. So, and my business will pay for it because I use it for language. So I can be very honest with the IRS and say, I use Netflix for learning language. And they can see a record of everything I watch. Right now it's in Italian, and I watched a million things in Russian. So I use it, especially like what was it called? I'm not remembering.
Лучше, чем люди.
Yeah.
Better than people, I think it's called.
Yeah, that was very good. And then what's it called? Something Sim. The name of the rocket, the spaceship.
Apollo.
No, but Solvit.
Ah.
Solid Sim. Anyway, a Russian movie.
Maybe.
Salute Sim. Sim. So that made me. I watched it 4 or 5 times. So I watch it, and they speak slowly and carefully, and I can hear everything. That's an excellent movie because it was a true story, and they do a good job because the old Soviet Union is gone, so nobody gets in trouble for making fun of them or showing them as they could be the bad guy. Where the representative of the government comes and says, "They're heroes. Let them die in space," and they just want to kill them. They said, "No, you can't. They're people. Those are people, and we want to get them back." And so they talk about politics a little like that.
It has good rating.
Yeah, it's excellent. Excellent. I like
Was
that
it
one.
was it also on Netflix? Да, Salute Sim?
Yes, yeah. It could have been Amazon. Sometimes I pay for them. I go to Amazon.
It says that it used to be on Netflix in 2000. Yes. Well, 2017 when it came out, and it says that it was on Netflix, but currently not available. So maybe.
And then my favorite film of all time is about a Hutnik who lives in Siberia named Dersu Uzala. And so Dersu doesn't speak perfect Russian, but the captain does. And so he talks with the captain, and I can hear them speaking. That was a good movie to listen to Russian and hear a country person who probably speaks another language, ethnic dialect, and then the Russian captain who speaks perfect Russian. So that and there were lots of to think of them, but anyway, those probably others I could remember, but I liked it. I learned a lot about Russian culture and people mixing together. It was very easy to watch. And then there was a terrible one. I watched it 5 times. A series about serial killers, and it was called in Russian. Yeah, it's called La Méthode. Méthode.
Method.
method,
Mhm.
and better than us, which
Better
you
than us.
remembered,
Mm-hmm.
but she was the robot in Better Than Us, but in Andreeva, she's the assistant to the main detective, and
Mm.
uh, and he knows a lot of crazy people and is a little crazy too. So, and after you see it 5 times, you could write a movie yourself. So that was, but it was good. I have to put up with the serial
I,
killers.
it, I think it is still on Netflix. Yeah, it says
Yeah,
it is on Netflix.
it's interesting. Yeah, because Kosinski or something. Kosinski, I can't remember the
Uh-huh.
main actor's name, and Paulina Andreeva. She's very pretty, and
Kaminsky.
Kaminsky. Yeah,
Kaminsky.
he's a good actor too. Both of
Mm-hmm.
them are good. Uh,
Uh,
so
let's let's wrap up
what do you want?
about learning languages. I have one more question. Why is it important to learn a foreign language?
I don't like to. Well, I like to communicate. First, it is easier if you're an extrovert than if you are an introvert. Introvert wants to stay to themselves. You go in the bookstore, go, I want
Mm-mm.
that when they point at that money, that. But me, I want to say, I want that. I want
Mm-hmm.
that book. So how much is it? 这个书是多少钱啊? That book, how much is it? So I
Mm-hmm.
can remember my Chinese is there when I talk about common things. My brain works. So for me, I'm not happy just speaking English, and I don't like that attitude that you could maybe make them say something in English. No,
In
no,
English.
I
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't like
It's
it. No,
better
I'd
if
rather
you say something in the native language, even
yes.
if it's not.
So
Mm-hmm.
not correct. At least they know I'm trying.
Yeah,
So and
well,
people are
that's very
helpful.
good.
So that's my main reason I am an extrovert. I have something to say, and I know they do. I want to know how they do something. How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make it? How do you make it? So I have um, those things. So
Mm. It is very inspiring to listen to your story, how you um okay with not learning a language perfectly, but still trying your best to speak. Because I mean, I learn languages. Like sometimes I
yeah,
go back to Japanese, and then when we travel to Spain or
yeah,
Argentina, I repeat Spanish. But I get discouraged when I'm like, oh, I don't know enough, and I fell into this um, loop, into this hole that okay, I need to speak better in order to speak, but that's actually an illusion. You need to speak or with exact knowledge that you currently have. So if you have a little, you speak a little, and if you know more, you speak more. But my husband Sergey, he's a lot better. He just speaks. He doesn't have that problem. He's like,
he just
whatever
puts
I
it
know,
out,
I
puts it
just
out.
I just
Yeah, just
and
say it.
we
Just
were
say
in
it. It doesn't.
Argentina. He just speaks anytime.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. Just talk. And so maybe if you, I will have some important dinners when I'm like on my own in Bologna and elsewhere. And so we're going to a restaurant on Sunday night. You should come with me, you and Sergey, on Sunday night. That is the 31st August. And having a dinner at a restaurant where a friend is the owner,
Mm-hmm.
and I've forgotten his name because we only know each other through a third person, Gorman, Greg Gorman, who's a photographer, international photographer. So I could maybe remember his name. I can barely remember the name of the restaurant, Drogeria uh, de la Santa Ana or something like that. Drogeria means a grocery store. So,
Mm-hmm.
so his it's an outdoor. There's some indoor seating, but mostly outdoor seating and the good food and in a quiet place, no cars, and you sit outside. That's a good place to eat. And he'll always come over with a glass of wine and say, "Hi, Jerry," and we have a glass of wine together. And he'll sit and he grew up somewhere in the middle of Italy, and he's been there 20 years. So I like to talk to him, and he wants to know about our mutual friend, Greg. What is Greg doing? He's a famous Hollywood photographer. So Greg photographs everybody in Hollywood. He knows
wow.
all the people. So anyway,
Speak a little
so that
Italian there.
yeah. So I'll try and speak a little with this man this time in Italian, and then we'll have one dinner the night before with the manager of the hotel, because he'll have to get ready for all our crazy group coming and the pile of passports.
Okay. I think we did good for our
Okay.
first. This is something that I want to try on my channel, to speak about not only Russian language, but about different languages and how people learn languages. So that was you're my first interviewee.
Well, so one thing I remember from you, which I plan to repeat by myself when I study, is one of your lessons was very helpful. It was you put me somewhere, you had a map, and I'm standing in front of the hotel, just a drawing, said, where's the hospital? Then you might need to know, someone gets hurt, where's the hospital? We need to go. Well, it's to the right or the left, and it's about half a block and 100 meters and so on. So that was a very good lesson. Where's the store? Is it a bookstore? Is it a food store? And just, so that was very helpful, and I used that very much in St. Petersburg, St. Petersburg, and so that was excellent. And then when they went to a town that had fewer English speakers, like Pskov, and I had to get around, and I was so happy I had your lessons, because now I could ask people something.
Yeah,
Where
I
is
think
this?
it's only a few words that you need to know to ask for directions. It's, где находится, so где находится,
Yeah,
where it's located, and then you say
yeah,
whatever you're looking for. Где
yeah,
находится
yeah.
больница, да, поликлиника.
You gave me a lesson on St. Petersburg. It has a beautiful map and many historic places. We did that a few times in St. Petersburg, and that was very good. So yeah, so whatever you want to do, you can meet with me anytime. Because I like to talk about language.
Ah, that's nice. And we'll see each other soon in
Yeah,
Italy.
3 months from now. So
Yeah.
something I found my Russian friends have not seen very much. There are silent films in Russian too. And I'm going on Friday night with 6 friends to Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. And in this big cathedral, they're going to show a silent film, and it is the 1922.
Oh wow.
It's the first film about Dracula. So and it's called Nosferatu. You can find it on YouTube, but Nosferatu, 1922. And the family, the wife of the author was still alive. The author had died, Bram Stoker. But his wife said, I don't want anyone making a movie of my husband's book. So they had to change the name from Dracula to Nosferatu. So it has a good story. So when I started looking at Russian, I had trouble finding silent films. There are some, but you have to look around. There was, can't remember the theater company. It was based in Leningrad. The theater company there produced some good films. So then, and I remember a favorite you can tell your friends, because there are 2 versions, but it's very easy. It's a TV show that has just short dramas, simple plots every week, and it was called I'm not remembering in Russian, but the Night Swallows.
Oh, Ночные ласточки.
Yeah, and that's very good. And it's a TV series, and you can watch one at a time. And there's a simple story, and the women fly the planes. And there's after I saw most of those, I discovered a Swedish director made a really beautiful film with the real women who were still alive, who were pilots. And it's a beautiful story. And they speak in Russian, and it gets subtitled. But they were really interesting how they decided they wanted to do something in the war. And all the men went off fighting somewhere. They said, well, what can we do? And one woman took the job and said, I'm going to organize a woman's Air Force. We will have pilots. And they had 500 planes, 800 people. Interesting. So that was good for me.
Yeah,
I'll
I
send
remember.
you I'll send you the documentary.
Хорошо.
You can see. All right.
Окей.
Хорошо.
Да, спасибо, Джерри, хорошо. Окей, хорошего
Большое
дня. Have a good
спасибо.
day. Да,
Yeah, me
давай.
too. Bye.
Давай.